10. Nicki Minaj vs. Cardi B. Chaos broke out during New York Fashion Week in September 2018 when Cardi B approached rival rapper Nicki Minaj during Christina Aguilera's performance at the Harper's Bazaar Icons Party. After being elbowed in the face, Cardi removed her high heel and used it as a weapon. In the meantime, security rushed over and broke up the brawl. The fight didn't last very long, and Nicki walked away unscathed, while Cardi sustained a bump on the head from tussling with a security guard. Footage of the altercation appeared to show Cardi lunging at Nicki after Nicki's friend tried to get between them in an apparent effort to prevent the disagreement from coming to blows. Later on, Cardi made a scathing Instagram post stating, "I let you sneak diss me, I let you lie on me, I let you attempt to stop my bags." She didn't mention Nicki by name, but it was clear who the post was directed at. Cardi also accused Nicki of threatening to cut ties with other artists if they worked with her. More than 5 years later, the feud between the two leading women of rap seems to still be going strong. In early 2024, Cardi B released a video for her song Like What, which honors rap legend Lil' Kim while appearing to diss Nicki Minaj. It marked the release of Cardi B's first solo record in 3 years, indicating that there may be more to come amid her ongoing rivalry with Nicki. 9. Kid Rock vs. Tommy Lee. During a post-awards show following MTV's Video Music Awards in 2007, Kid Rock allegedly approached Motley Crue drummer Tommy Lee and punched him in the face. The incident occurred at the Palms Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas and was witnessed by MTV video jockey Sway. It was also seen by rap producer Rich Nice, who said, "It looked like Tommy Lee initiated it because Kid Rock was ignoring him." Nice went on to say that Lee kind of antagonized Kid Rock by standing from his seat, at which point Kid Rock backhanded him, then punched him. Security quickly intervened by putting Tommy Lee in a headlock and escorting him out of the event, while Kid Rock was allowed to stay for the rest of the evening. Both Kid Rock and Tommy Lee were previously married to adult film star Pamela Anderson, who was a presenter during the awards show. It's unclear whether the altercation had anything to do with Anderson, but it's probably safe to assume that it did. Following the incident, Sway pointed out the widespread misconception that only rappers get into physical altercations at these types of events. But as he put it, rockers fight too. P. Diddy also mentioned that it's not just hip-hop artists that sometimes have a problem, while Jamie Foxx jokingly said, "Stop all this white-on-white violence." 8. Quavo and Saweetie. Famous music artists Quavo and Saweetie began dating in 2018. By the following year, they were one of hip-hop's most talked-about couples. But the spark between them appeared to fizzle out by March of 2021, when both parties announced on social media that they had ended their relationship. In a Twitter post, Saweetie alluded to Quavo cheating, stating, "Presents don't band-aid scars, and the love isn't real when the intimacy is given to other women." As news of the breakup spread like wildfire, TMZ published elevator footage from an apartment building in North Hollywood that appeared to show a physical fight between the couple. In the clip, which was captured before Quavo and Saweetie went their separate ways, Saweetie could be seen taking a swing at Quavo, who dodged the hit while dropping a Call of Duty case on the floor. Saweetie made a grab for the case, but Quavo got his hands on it first, and the pair proceeded to fight over it. They both fell to the floor during the struggle, but Saweetie didn't immediately get up. She remained on the floor for almost a minute as the elevator moved between floors, at one point stopping to pick up a man who chose not to get on. Toward the end of the video, Saweetie could be seen rising unsteadily to her feet and limping out of the elevator while Quavo holds the door. After the footage leaked, Saweetie released a statement clarifying that the incident had occurred about a year earlier. She said that she and Quavo had moved past that particular disagreement before the breakup. But there were too many hurdles for them to continue the relationship. Quavo denied physically abusing Saweetie and described the elevator fight as an unfortunate situation that they had both learned and moved on from. During a GQ interview almost 18 months after the footage was leaked, he said that he didn't like that people thought of him as an abuser after seeing the video, stating, "I never once in a million years want to do any harm to any woman, period." 7. Will Smith and Chris Rock. In a shocking act of aggression that was talked about for months to come, American actor and musician Will Smith rose from his seat during the 2022 Oscars, stormed onto the stage, approached the host, Chris Rock, and slapped him across the face. Smith then returned to his seat and shouted, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth." He was referring to a G.I. Jane joke Rock had made about his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, who had shaved her head due to alopecia. Later that night, Smith won the Best Actor award for his performance in the film King Richard. But he wasn't off the hook for his behavior. Following the infamous slap, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences banned Smith from attending the Oscars for a decade. The disgraced actor later issued a public apology to Rock, stating, "I'm human and I made a mistake, and I'm trying not to think of myself as a piece of shit." Chris Rock remained silent about the incident until the release of his Netflix special, Selective Outrage, a year later. In it, the 58-year-old not so subtly accused 54-year-old Smith of taking his anger over Pinkett's affair with singer August Alsina out on him. Rock went on to say that everyone in the world called Smith a B, and he even went as far as comparing Smith to rap producer Marion Suge Knight, who's currently serving prison time for a fatal hit-and-run he committed in 2015. He then joked about how the slap still hurt a year later, and how it left the DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince song Summertime ringing in his ears. The comedian finished his 8-minute rant by reassuring the audience that he was no victim, and he took the hit like former pro boxer Manny Pacquiao. During an interview with journalist Hoda Cobb in October 2023, Jada Pinkett Smith revealed that she briefly exchanged words with Chris Rock after her husband slapped him. She said that Rock reassured her he meant no harm, but that she was overwhelmed and couldn't take in the apology. The news came on the heels of another claim Pinkett made to People magazine just days earlier about Rock allegedly asking her out on a date earlier in the year. According to the 52-year-old, Rock thought she and Smith were getting a divorce, so he called her up and said he'd love to take her out. Pinkett clarified that the divorce claim was just a rumor, and Rock reportedly apologized profusely. More than 2 years after the slapping incident, it seems as though the hype surrounding Chris Rock's interactions with the Smiths has finally quieted down. At the same time, it wouldn't exactly be surprising if the rivalry heated up again in the future. Whether or not that happens remains to be seen. 6. Prince Harry and Prince William. The ongoing feud between British royal brothers Prince William and Prince Harry is no secret. It's been going on for years, dating at least as far back as late 2018, when rumors of drama between the prince's wives, Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle, first began to surface. And while it would take all day, or possibly longer, to explain everything that has happened between then and now, there have been a few key turning points along the way that are worth mentioning. One noteworthy revelation came along in early 2023, following the release of Prince Harry's memoir, Spare. In it, Harry goes into unprecedented detail about his messy personal life over the years, including his past drug use. He also delved into detail about an argument he had with William that allegedly got physical. According to the red-headed prince, the altercation began as a verbal disagreement about Harry's wife, Meghan Markle. In Harry's own words, he said that William charged at him, grabbed him by the collar, and ripped his necklace. The fight allegedly ended with William knocking his little brother to the floor. Harry said he landed on his dog's bowl, which broke under the weight of his body, causing the pieces to cut into his back. "It all happened so fast, so very fast," Harry wrote. He went on to describe how he rose to his feet in a daze and ordered William to leave the property. Following the book's release, an insider source told Us Weekly that the brothers have no apparent plans to speak at any time in the near future. As of April 2024, it appears as though William is continuing to avoid Harry, which is probably for the best considering how their most recent interaction supposedly went. 5. Usher and Chris Brown. Singers Chris Brown and Usher are longtime friends, but even friends disagree every now and then, and every once in a while, these arguments spiral out of control. This appeared to be the case in May of 2023, when the old pals got into a scuffle during Usher's 44th birthday party at the Skate Rock City roller rink in Las Vegas. According to TMZ, 34-year-old Brown was attempting to talk to singer-songwriter and actress Teyana Taylor, but she shut him down and he got noticeably angry, something Brown is known to do when it comes to his disagreements with women. Usher reportedly stepped in and tried to calm down his raging buddy, but Brown told his entourage they were leaving and the group made their way toward the door. Usher followed them outside, only to return with what appeared to be a bloody nose. Chris Brown also appeared to walk away from the ordeal with a facial injury, indicating that things had gotten heated between the two musicians. But even if that was the case, the two men seemed to have worked out their differences by the time they performed together at the Lovers and Friends Music Festival later that evening. 4. Justin Bieber and Orlando Bloom. In what was later described in a Guardian article as history's most pathetic celebrity scuffle, British actor Orlando Bloom and American singer Justin Bieber got into a tussle outside a restaurant on the party island of Ibiza in 2014. News of the fight broke out in the form of a grainy video released by TMZ, which appeared to show Bieber instigating the fight by approaching Bloom and saying, "What's up, B?" Bloom responded by throwing a punch at Bieber, and members of the public, including celebrities and non-famous people alike, were quick to take sides. It seemed as though the majority of people were Team Orlando, while exceedingly few sided with the Biebs. According to news reports, the disagreement stemmed from Bieber making some distasteful comments about Bloom's ex-wife, Australian supermodel Miranda Kerr. Bloom and Kerr had divorced the year prior to the fight, by which point Bieber had allegedly spent some time being close to Kerr. In fact, there was even gossip that Kerr cheated on Bloom with Bieber, which would certainly justify Bloom's dislike of the singer. Other rumors claimed that Bieber tried getting cozy with Kerr after a Victoria's Secret fashion show, and that Kerr rejected him. In 2022, Spanish newspaper Marca revealed that Bloom and Bieber had not spoken to one another in the 8 years since the fight took place. The piece echoed the sentiments expressed in a previous article that was featured in The Guardian, which is namely that Bloom was fighting for his honor and dignity during the scuffle, while Bieber was more or less acting like a privileged brat with an attitude problem. On a more positive note, Bloom and Kerr reportedly remained on good terms following their split, and are keeping things amicable for the sake of co-parenting their son. 3. Shia LaBeouf and Tom Hardy. American actor Shia LaBeouf is no stranger to controversy, and he's been in a number of bar fights over the years. He first made headlines for throwing punches at a drinking establishment in 2012. Later that year, actor and co-star Tom Hardy claimed that LaBeouf had knocked him out in a single punch while filming the movie Lawless. Hardy described the actor as a bad boy and a scary dude. LaBeouf, on the other hand, claimed that he and Hardy were just playfully wrestling and dismissed the media claims as a bunch of BS. 2 years later, in early 2014, LaBeouf was accused of headbutting a man during a bar fight in London. According to news reports, the hot-headed performer could be heard yelling, "What are you saying about my girl's mom? Are you effing kidding me?" He then lowered his head and made his move. A group of young women tried pulling LaBeouf off the victim, who had apparently said something offensive about the actor's girlfriend's mother. The altercation came just days after the then 27-year-old announced in a tweet that he was quitting public life in light of recent attacks against his artistic integrity. He has appeared in multiple films since then, however, indicating that his break from being famous didn't last too long. LaBeouf has continued to land in the news for his controversial behavior in recent years, including in 2020 when he was arrested for misdemeanor battery and petty theft. He was accused of stealing a hat from a man named Tyler Murphy following a fight between the two. In 2021, LaBeouf entered a diversion program, giving him a chance to have the case dropped completely as long as he abided by certain court-imposed rules for a year. He has managed to avoid any major physical conflicts since then, but remains a contentious figure in Hollywood. 2. Kim and Kourtney Kardashian. It's not too hard to picture two Kardashians getting into a catfight, so it's probably not surprising to learn that it's actually happened. During the premiere of the 18th season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians in 2020, Kourtney and Kim got into an on-camera argument about time commitments and work ethic. The disagreement quickly devolved into a physical struggle, during which Kourtney slapped Kim with so much force, her bronzer came off her face and transferred onto the wall that her head collided with. This may have been the first time things came to blows between Kim and Kourtney, but it certainly wasn't the first time the sisters got into an explosive argument. During season 15 of the show in 2018, Kourtney accused Kim of wanting to schedule a shoot solely around her own time constraints without considering the needs of anyone else involved. Kim didn't necessarily deny this. In fact, she justified her scheduling demands by pointing out that her life is so busy that it makes sense to accommodate her above all. In an increasingly frustrated and condescending tone, Kim told Kourtney that maybe if she were running a business that she was passionate about, she'd understand the complications of a busy schedule. As you can probably imagine, it didn't end well, but the fight stopped short of becoming a physical brawl. Later that year, Kourtney called Kim an evil human being during another argument. Looking at the steady escalation of the sisters' disagreements, it's perhaps not surprising that the two women eventually came to blows. 3 years after the infamous slapping incident, Kourtney accused Kim of sabotaging her wedding to Blink-182 drummer Travis Barker. She also called Kim a witch during another confrontation later that year. Whether or not the sisters will keep their disagreements limited to words in the future remains to be seen. And now for number 1. But if you want to hear more bizarre and crazy stories, stay tuned after the video for some more content. But if you want to hear more bizarre and crazy stories, stay tuned after the video for some more content. Bill Murray and Lucy Liu. It's been nearly a quarter of a century since the debut of the American action comedy film Charlie's Angels in 2000. But a fight that reportedly occurred on set remains fresh in the minds of many. Actress Lucy Liu, who starred in the movie alongside Cameron Diaz and Drew Barrymore, allegedly threw multiple punches at co-star Bill Murray for insulting her on a particularly harsh level. There was a lot of speculation surrounding the incident, but Lucy stayed silent about it until 2021, when she opened up about it for the first time on an episode of the Los Angeles Times podcast, Asian Enough. She explained that the incident occurred during the rehearsal of a scene which had recently been reworked, unbeknownst to Murray. Murray had missed the reworking of the scene due to a family obligation. During the podcast, Lucy said that she wasn't heavily involved with the rewriting process, even though she wanted to be, stating in her own words, "Because I was the last one cast, and I probably had the least amount of privilege in terms of creatively participating at that time." And while you might be dying to know exactly what Murray said to set off Lucy's temper, she kept that information to herself. She said that Murray began to hurl insults at her after learning about the changes in the scene. Looking back, the actress remembered noticing that it seemed like Murray was staring straight at her when he went on his tirade, which only served to further confirm that she was the target of his rage. But instead of reacting based on this assumption, Lucy said, "I'm so sorry. Are you talking to me?" She later explained that Murray continued to single her out with this rant, using language that she described as inexcusable and unacceptable. Despite being one of the lesser-known performers on set, Lucy decided that it was only right for her to stand up for herself. She didn't go into specific detail about exactly how she did that, but according to rumors, this was the moment when things got physical. Lucy said that she did not regret her decision. Quote, "Because no matter how low on the totem pole you may be or wherever you came from, there's no need to condescend or to put other people down." 8. War Machine. Former MMA fighter and adult film actor Jonathan Paul Copenhaver, better known as War Machine, has a long history of being aggressive and defiant toward authority. Shortly after being released by the UFC in 2007, he caught 2 assault charges and was sentenced to 3 years of probation. 3 years later, he tried to get back into the UFC, but the organization turned him away. That same year, Copenhaver was convicted of a felony assault charge and spent a little over 2 years behind bars for his crimes. He began dating adult actress Christy Mack in 2013, and for a while, it seemed like his life was on a better path. Dating Mack seemed to help his public image, and he managed to avoid any major drama for about a year. But the relationship was less than idyllic behind closed doors. Copenhaver was allegedly jealous, possessive, and controlling. And in May 2014, Mack broke up with him. 3 months later, the disgraced fighter entered Mack's Las Vegas apartment and found her in bed with her new boyfriend, Corey Thomas. Overcome by an uncontrollable rage, Copenhaver brutally attacked Thomas for 10 straight minutes, and finally let him go after he promised not to go to the authorities. Copenhaver then spent the next 2 hours assaulting Mack. She escaped to a neighbor's house via her balcony and was rushed to the hospital with a broken nose, 18 broken facial bones, 12 missing teeth, a fractured rib, and a ruptured liver. Police caught up with Copenhaver a week later after tracing his location through his tweets. He was convicted of 29 felonies, including kidnapping, assault battery, domestic battery, coercion, and more. The court sentenced him to life with the possibility of parole after 36 years. About a year and a half later, Copenhaver said that he thinks about his actions daily and regrets what he did. He's reportedly engaged to his pen pal and has become a born-again Christian. 7. Eric Naposki. After a short-lived career playing for the New England Patriots and Indianapolis Colts in 1988 and 1989, Eric Naposki joined the minor league Barcelona Dragons team. He quit after the 1992 season due to injuries and moved to Irvine, California, where he took a job as a security guard and started a children's exercise program. It was through the kids' organization that he met a woman named Nanette Johnston, and they became friends. At the time, Johnston was living with her multimillionaire boyfriend, 52-year-old Bill McLaughlin, whom she met through a personal ad she placed in the newspaper seeking wealthy men. She was still in a relationship with McLaughlin in 1993 when things between her and Naposki became romantic, or at least physical. Johnston dated Naposki behind McLaughlin's back for about a year. They no longer had to keep the affair a secret after December 15, 1994, when McLaughlin was shot in the chest 6 times while reading the newspaper at his kitchen table. Police quickly discovered the relationship and were eager to question both parties. After verifying Johnston's alibi, they shifted their attention to Naposki, who denied any involvement in McLaughlin's murder. He also claimed that he was unaware of Johnston's romantic relationship with McLaughlin and that he thought they had a father-daughter type of bond. Investigators speculated that Naposki and Johnston conspired to murder McLaughlin so that Johnston could collect on his life insurance and savings. But without enough evidence to make any arrests, they had no choice but to let the couple walk free while they continued to investigate. Naposki and Johnston soon went their separate ways. Over the next 15 years, Johnston married twice and remained in California, while Naposki returned to playing football overseas, and then moved to Connecticut with his fiancée. The couple married, had kids, bought a house, and settled into a comfortable middle-class existence. In 2007, investigators reopened McLaughlin's murder case and thoroughly reviewed the evidence. They found dozens of connections and other useful pieces of information they were previously unaware of, and finally had enough to arrest Naposki and Johnston for murder. Both defendants were found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole. They continue to maintain their innocence from behind bars while pointing the finger at each other for the crime. 6. Michael Jace. Michael Jace's professional acting career began during the 1990s with occasional appearances in popular shows and movies like Law & Order, Star Trek, Boogie Nights, Forrest Gump, and Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes remake, just to name a few. His career continued on an upward trajectory, and he eventually landed a leading role as Officer Julian Lowe on the FX drama The Shield. But the New Jersey native found himself in the exact opposite shoes of a police officer in 2014, when law enforcement received a call about a domestic violence incident at his home in the Los Angeles suburb of Hyde Park. After the first call, which was placed by someone else, Jace dialed 911 and said to the dispatcher, "I just shot my wife." Officers arrived at the scene to find 40-year-old April Jace dead from gunshot wounds. Under questioning, Michael Jace admitted to shooting his wife during an argument that broke out after April said she wanted a divorce. Their 2 kids were in the room when the crime occurred. Jace insisted that he never meant to kill April, but that he was trying to inflict pain when he shot her, and that he had aimed for her leg. But she was shot 3 times, leaving detectives highly skeptical about Jace's claims that her death was an unfortunate accident. The court found him guilty of second-degree murder in 2016 and imposed a sentence of 40 years to life behind bars. He'll become eligible for parole in 2034 under California's elderly parole program at the age of 72 years old. At his sentencing, Jace apologized to April's family, but her mother had no interest in his expressions of remorse and walked out of the courtroom during his statement. 5. Ryan Grantham. Canadian actor Ryan Grantham was just a kid when he landed his first major role in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. In more recent years, he scored small roles in Supernatural and Riverdale. His life took a wildly unexpected turn in March 2020, when he approached his mom from behind while she played the piano at her home in British Columbia and shot her in the back of the head with a .22 rifle. Shortly after the murder, Grantham made a GoPro video admitting to the crime and showing her dead body. The situation got even weirder the next morning, when Grantham covered his mother's body with a sheet, surrounded it with candles, and hung a rosary from the piano. He loaded his car with guns, ammunition, and Molotov cocktails and began driving east towards Ottawa, where he planned to assassinate Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. At some point along the drive, Grantham decided that he would commit a mass shooting instead. He considered carrying out the crime at his college, Simon Fraser University, or on the Lionsgate Bridge in Vancouver. Thankfully, the disturbed young actor ultimately decided to turn himself in to the police, and no more lives were lost. He reportedly told authorities that he killed his mom to spare her from the fallout of the violent crimes he planned to commit afterward. Grantham was convicted of second-degree murder, which comes with an automatic life sentence in Canada. He'll be eligible for parole after serving 14 years. 4. Kaalan Walker. In 2018, Kaalan Walker earned a reputation as a talented up-and-coming actor for his role as gang member Juju in the Superfly reboot. The gig came on the heels of his role in the 2017 movie Kings, which he starred in alongside Halle Berry and Daniel Craig. Unfortunately, Walker's path to success took a hard left turn, just as it seemed like it was starting to take off. The same year that Superfly was released, authorities connected him to a series of assaults against young women that began in 2013 and arrested him on a slew of charges. Prosecutors claimed that Walker targeted his victims on social media. He deliberately sought out aspiring models and other attractive women and promised them professional opportunities and to introduce them to celebrities. Once he got them alone, he brutally assaulted them, ignoring their commands to stop what he was doing. During the trial, Walker's lawyer Andrew Flyer argued that the victims were lying as part of a revenge campaign against his client. He claimed the women were angry because they had fallen for Walker's BS. In other words, Flyer readily admitted that his client was a manipulator, but denied that Walker took his behavior to a criminal level. Walker was convicted of multiple different assault charges in late 2022 and received a sentence of 50 years to life. In a statement to USA Today, Flyer expressed disappointment at the sentence and made it clear that his client maintains his innocence. He claimed that Walker didn't get a fair trial, that his client was portrayed as a monster, and that many important issues were excluded by the court. Flyer said that he planned to appeal the case. 3. Keith Wright. Starting in 2003, Keith Wright briefly played for various NFL teams and practice squads. His short-lived pro football career ended in 2006. It's unclear what he spent the next 5 years doing, but he reappeared in the news in 2011 when he was accused of committing 3 violent home burglaries in Sacramento's Natomas neighborhood. In each of the robberies, Wright threatened his victims at gunpoint and demanded money. He also assaulted and kidnapped a woman and forced her to drive to ATMs and withdraw cash. Authorities began to suspect Wright of committing the home invasions after he exchanged some rare foreign currency that was stolen during one of the burglaries. He was linked to the kidnapping through DNA evidence. While searching Wright's home, authorities found stolen property belonging to the victims. Wright was convicted of 19 charges, including armed robbery, kidnapping, burglary, false imprisonment, and more. He was sentenced to 234 years and 8 months in prison. 2. Joseph's son. Joseph's son wasn't exactly a celebrity. He was a bit actor who was best known for his small role in the 1997 movie Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. In 2008, he was arrested for felony vandalism after kicking his roommate's car. His DNA was taken as part of standard procedure, and it turned up as a match to evidence that was left behind at the scene of a brutal assault in California back in 1990. Son was hit with 17 felony charges in connection with the attack, which carried a sentence of up to 275 years if convicted on all counts. The counts were all dropped due to the state's statute of limitations, so prosecutors charged him with conspiracy to commit murder and torture, which have no statute of limitations. During the trial, the court heard about how Son and an accomplice, Santiago Lopez Gaitan, kidnapped a woman while she was walking her dog. They pistol-whipped her, threatened her life, and did other horrible things to her while carrying out the prolonged assault. After terrorizing the victim and putting her through sheer hell, the men dumped her on the roadside with no clothes on and a piece of clothing tied around her eyes. Gaitan took a plea deal and admitted to kidnapping and multiple assault-related crimes in exchange for a sentence of 17 years to life. Son also pleaded guilty to a laundry list of charges, including torture, and was sentenced to life. In October 2011, Joseph's son was accused of murdering his cellmate, Michael Thomas Graham. He was charged with murder, but pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter and received a 27.5-year sentence. 1. Tim Norman. St. Louis-based restaurateur Tim Norman became a reality star in the series Welcome to Sweetie Pies, which documented the operations at his family's soul food restaurant. In 2016, around 5 years after the show's first season aired, Norman's nephew, 21-year-old Andre Montgomery, was shot dead while out in public. 4 years later, in 2020, federal authorities charged Norman with Montgomery's murder. Prosecutors accused him of fraudulently taking out a $450,000 life insurance policy on his nephew with the help of a crooked insurance agent named Y.L. Wally Rebhi Yagnam. Norman allegedly arranged to have Montgomery lured to a specific location, where another accomplice, Travell Anthony Hill, fatally shot the young man. Hill pleaded guilty to murder and received a 32-year prison sentence. A woman named Tanisha Ellis admitted that Norman paid her $10,000 to track the victim's whereabouts and was sentenced to 3 years behind bars for her role in the crime. The insurance agent, Yagnam, received a 3-year sentence for helping Norman apply for the fraudulent policy and file a claim on it. Norman maintained his innocence despite the confessions of his co-conspirators. He was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder for hire, and conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud. The court sentenced him to life in prison despite his mother's plea for leniency. Thanks for watching. Would you rather be remembered for losing a bar fight that was captured on camera, or for acting like an entitled millennial toward the cops in a viral video? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you soon. Bye.